Thank you all for being today. I know it's a warm, beautiful San Diego summer day, so we're going to get right started. And thank you for this incredible coalition that has come together to promote housing in our city. Everyone standing here behind me supports making housing more affordable for San Diegans, for San Diego families. And everybody here has been a strong advocate for addressing the statewide housing crisis with action here on the local level. They include our City Council member Scott Sherman, who's chair of the Smart Growth and Land Use Committee. They include City Council member Chris Ward. They include Jerry Sanders with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, Mary Lydon representing the Housing U Matters Coalition, Stephen Russell of the San Diego Housing Federation, Matt Adams of the Building Industry Association, Chris Michelle of the Downtown San Diego Partnership, and Rick Gentry, of course, of our San Diego Housing Commission. And many more who have put in a lot of hours, a lot of work over the last several months to get us to where we are today with this package. I also want to acknowledge our planning director, Jeff Murphy, and his staff, as well as Jack Straw from my office, who have been diligently working on today's announcement. We are here today as a very broad coalition. Republicans, Democrats, business groups, environmental entities, community advocates, and home builders, to take on one of the biggest issues that is affecting us in San Diego. We're here today to announce a package of proposals that, once implemented, will increase housing supply, lower housing costs, and promote smart growth in our neighborhoods, with an emphasis on making housing more affordable for low and middle income San Diegans. Mayors have traditionally been afraid to say this, but it needs to be said. We need to build more housing in San Diego. And we are standing here in, thank you, Oz. We are standing here in beautiful Logan Heights in front of COM 22, an affordable housing, great development that is a perfect example of what we need more of in our city. This project provides dense, affordable housing for families and seniors, while at the same time providing easy access to public transit. So our new plan, called Housing SD, is a long list of proposals to make sure that we see more projects like this and create more housing opportunities for our residents. So why is this so important? Because I think all of us know that one of the biggest issues affecting us in California is the state's housing shortage and the unaffordable market that it has spawned. San Diego, like the rest of our state, is in the midst of a housing crisis, plain and simple. And more of our paychecks are going towards skyrocketing rent and mortgage costs. In fact, more than 70% of San Diegans cannot afford a median-priced home. We have to change that. And San Diego renters spend a bigger part of their income on housing than those in Boston, San Francisco, and even New York City. So we have to change that because the problem is getting worse. We want our kids to be able to start their own families here. We want our parents to watch their grandkids grow up. We want our seniors to retire here in San Diego with dignity. People who love San Diego and want to live in San Diego should not be priced out of San Diego. And since I've took office, I've directed several operational changes to speed up the project review process. We've updated community plans, the blueprints for how our neighborhoods grow. At a record pace, we're updating those plans. We've also expanded our affordable housing density bonus program last year to incentivize developers to include more affordable units in their projects. And we've created some strong momentum on those efforts. And today is about taking the next big leap forward. To tackle our housing crisis, this Housing SD package would implement a number of strategies to spur the construction of low-income and middle-class housing through incentives, to streamline the development standards and speed up the project review process, to identify more funding for affordable housing, and encourage growth in transit-friendly areas, which also supports the goals of our landmark Climate Action Plan. In all, the package that we are announcing today includes a dozen proposals, some of which are already moving forward and others that are going to take shape over the coming year. Some as simple as making it easier to build granny flats or directing funding toward affordable housing projects. And others are a little bit more complicated and are being crafted as we speak, like a new program that provides incentives to developers who construct housing projects for units specifically targeting San Diego's middle-class families. As I think all of us know, there's no one silver bullet that will solve the housing crisis. And that's why we're attacking it from all sides. We spent the past several months looking at the cost of housing from all angles. We've asked housing advocates, many of whom are here today, and developers for their ideas. And that's the type of input that went into this package. This is a consensus package that we feel will have a significant positive impact on the local housing market going forward. And that's the bottom line. And while we all have different ideas to bring to the table, and will continue to do that, everyone here agrees on the need to aggressively tackle the housing crisis. This package is indeed a very important starting point, and we're going to work together, all of us, to put these ideas and more into action. I have no doubt that as we move forward and with the input of our city council members, we will continue to add new ideas and refine this package as it moves forward and as the public weighs in. But we have a solid base on which we have consensus to move forward. And for that, I am so appreciative for everybody's hard work over the last several months. We are in a housing crisis. We can't ignore it. So I urge the rest of the City Council to join me, Councilmember Sherman and Councilmember Ward, and this coalition to approve this package. Because it's not enough just to talk about our housing crisis. We have to act. And action is what today is all about. Again, I'm so fortunate to everybody's hard work and helping to support. Now we have a list of speakers, all who have been very active and involved in this. I will begin by introducing City Councilmember Scott Sherman, someone who's been a leader and partner in cutting red tape so we can reduce the cost of housing, and something we'll be doing a lot more of with this package. Councilmember Sherman.
Wow, look at all these cameras here today on something we actually agree on, so it's good to see this happening. Too many times there's cameras for our disagreements, and this is one of these items that every single one of us on this council and the mayor's office agree needs to happen. We need to attack our housing crisis head on, and we can't sit around and just talk about it and form blue ribbon task force and all those things. We are going to make serious headroads into that problem right now, starting today. Also want to let you know, July 24th, Housing Action Day at City Council. That is where some of the items that we've already been sending through to housing through my committee, those are already happening and starting to move through towards council, so it'll be on the 24th. You know, I was appointed head of the Smart Growth and Land Use Committee here just a few months back, and Councilmember Alvarez was vice chair, so we got together and decided, you know what, about 80% of the time we agree on things. Unfortunately, everybody concentrates on the 20% where we disagree. Let's get together, see what we can do together to make a difference in San Diego and deal with the problems we have here in housing. 47% of the cost of developing housing in the city of San Diego is government red tape and regulation. Well, you know what? We have the ability to make those changes and bring those burdens down on development so we can bring down the cost of being able to afford to live in the city of San Diego. I think it's a moral imperative that we owe this to our children and grandchildren and future generations to be able to have the same opportunities that we had growing up here in San Diego. We need to provide housing, and we need to go about it right away with different goals and plans to do so. Some of the things we're doing, housing goals for the city of San Diego. You know, at the city we have goals on all kinds of things. We have climate action goals, we have mobility goals, we have zero waste goals. We have just about every kind of goal you can possibly think of, except for the most important. How are we going to keep the production of housing up with the demand so costs don't go through the roof? The average cost of a house in San Diego is over $500,000. Last year alone, a single family house that was built, the cheapest one in San Diego, sold for $750,000. My kids can't afford that. They're moving up the ladder and figuring out what it is to make it in life. And there needs to be that middle market type housing so people can afford and do that here in San Diego. So that's what we're bringing by. We're talking about changing development impact fees, changing different rules and regulations with Historic Resources Board, with granny flats, creating templates that people can use where they can build and get through the process much faster at City Hall, self-certification. A lot of different ideas are coming through to the table, and stay tuned because this will probably be the first of many announcements on all the good things we're doing to bring down the cost of housing in the city of San Diego. Thank you.
Scott. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Very well said. Thank you, Councilmember Sherman, for not only your leadership on the committee, but working closely with all the other members on this very important issue. Next up, I want to introduce Councilmember Ward. And Councilmember Ward, thank you for your leadership on jumping in with both feet and knowing how important housing affordability is for our city. Councilmember Chris Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with so many housing advocates to support the proposals that we're trying to move forward under Housing SD. My name is Chris Ward. I'm the San Diego City Council member representing the 3rd Council District, including the communities of downtown, Hillcrest, North Park, and about 12 communities in the urban core of San Diego. Many cranes in the skies right now, so I'm very excited to see some of the residential projects that we have moving forward, but we have a lot of opportunity to continue that pace of infill because we need housing here in the city. These proposals here today are an excellent jumping off point to make new housing more affordable to build, more in line with our principles to nurture strong communities and shape our future growth in sustainable ways that respect our climate goals. Most importantly, we're taking a big step forward on making sure that the housing we build is the housing we need. Not just the sheer number, but at all price points that make San Diego affordable for everyone who help make it great. This is an issue that touches every community, and it's woven into the opportunities working families have, our ability to attract and retain the best talent, and our capacity to support small businesses and entrepreneurs. And when housing costs spiral out of control, as they have, it becomes a drag on everyone and our economy. It becomes a drag on everything that we're trying to accomplish as a city. So I'm excited to work on such a universally important issue to find the solutions that help those who will build the housing that we need and address the challenges faced by those struggling to make ends meet. We know that it will be in the final details that determine how well these proposed changes will work. So I look forward to working with staff, stakeholders, the mayor, and my colleagues to make sure that they're as effective as possible and see what other good ideas might come from this strong starting point and where we may be so inspired. It's through the process of this vetting that we'll make sure to avoid the unintended consequences that could undermine success and that we achieve the results that San Diegans so desperately need. And as a final note, on behalf of our council president and my colleagues, I'd like everybody to mark their calendar for July 24th, where the City Council will be holding a special meeting to address housing action. Many of these proposals may be teed up for consideration. Many more ideas will be welcomed at that time, and we certainly have our work cut out for us ahead at the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Councilmember Ward. Now I'd like to welcome the CEO of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, Jerry Sanders, and I want to thank the Chamber for their involvement, knowing how important housing affordability is to a strong business climate in the city of San Diego. Jerry Sanders.
At the San Diego Regional Chamber, we know that in order to attract and retain businesses, they have to have housing that's affordable for their employees. And that's the reason we applaud the mayor and the council members for the program they're setting forward. We also appreciate the opportunity to work with them so that they had an opportunity to hear some of the ideas that we have and other industry representatives. So once again, I want to thank the mayor and the council members for putting this program forward. We think the creation of new housing will be extremely important to business. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next up is Mary Lydon, no stranger to many of you for her tireless advocacy on the right type of environment for all of us in our urban San Diego, and has been really one of our leaders of Housing U Matters. Mary?
Thank you. Housing U Matters is a nonpartisan, broad-based coalition with members from community planning groups, business, building industry, environmental organizations, affordable housing groups, large employers, and social services. We formed over a year ago to help catalyze the building of more homes, especially for middle income. We represent thousands of residents and businesses who agree that we need more housing to meet our goals now and into the future. The social structure of our country is shifting due to many factors like globalization, climate change, and technology. Housing affordability is an issue that's impacting all of us. The regions that figure out how to thoughtfully and equitably increase housing supply will be the regions that win from a competitive, environmental, and social equity perspective. Let's work to make San Diego one of those regions. We applaud Mayor Faulconer's Housing SD plan and the hard work that city staff put in to make this happen. This is a great start. The growing alignment and cooperation around our housing affordability crisis is a major accomplishment in and of itself. Now that so many are on the same page, we can work together to find solutions. We thank the mayor for his leadership and look forward to working with all of you to keep this initial plan moving forward. Thank you.
Here, as I said before, we have one of the most unique coalitions ever assembled surrounding this housing affordable issues. And I'd next like to welcome Stephen Russell of the Housing Federation, again, who's been one of the leading advocates of helping to get us to where we are today. Stephen?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very pleased to be here today as part of this broad coalition representing the San Diego Housing Federation. We are advocates for those most in need in this community, those low-wage families, seniors, people living with disabilities, people experiencing homelessness. Those are populations for whom we advocate and for whom we believe this current housing crisis, a lack of supply, is especially damaging to these vulnerable populations. And so we're very pleased to support these efforts. We're very excited to work with all of the partners you see behind us today and many who are not present today, and remind everyone that, that this is the beginning of a path, not the end. This is a beginning point. There's going to be a lot of hard work to hold this coalition together to see these things realized, but this is the most important issue facing our time. And we look forward to implementing these changes to the process, and we hope that this same coalition will be there for us when we're seeking more resources to help serve these vulnerable populations. We applaud the mayor, the staff, the council members who have supported this, and look forward to working with all of them in the future to make all of this come about. Thank you very much for being here today.
Our final three speakers. Next up is Matt Adams of the Building Industry Association. I want to thank the BIA for being a partner with home builders, understanding how important increasing that supply and doing it the right way is for us to tackle this issue. Matthew?
Thank you, sir, very much. You know, my wife said I was going to be outside. I should wear sunscreen. I didn't listen. As been talked about today, the housing crisis spans far beyond city boundaries, and it touches all of our residents. Yet in the midst of this crisis, there is a cause of optimism, thanks to the leadership of Mayor Kevin Faulconer and Council members Scott Sherman and Chris Ward. The reform measures announced today in Housing San Diego are essential to increase the production and, more importantly, the affordability of housing. From San Diego to Sacramento, there's now unanimity. And that unanimity is that the one way to solve the housing crisis is to build more housing. It was not that long ago when Point Loma Nazarene University issued its findings that on average, region-wide, 40% of the cost to build a new home is directly related to government regulations, fees, and the time it takes to get your project approved. We can do better. We must do better. Each passing day, the ability to provide homes for the middle-class families becomes more and more of an urban myth. The downward trend in building permits this year, now on pace to touch 6,000 units region-wide, underscores the importance of the reforms that are inside Housing San Diego. The Middle Income Density Bonus Program is an important tool, and it's an important step in providing housing for working families. The BIA appreciates the initiative taken here today and looks forward to working with Mayor Faulconer and the San Diego City Council on implementing Housing San Diego and even more regulatory reforms. Thank you very much.
Next up, I'd like to introduce Chris Michelle of the Downtown San Diego Partnership. As many of you know, has been advocating for all levels of housing, certainly in our downtown, and a lot more to come. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I'll be brief. I'm Chris Michelle. I represent the Downtown Partnership, 11,000 property owners and about 400 businesses. More housing means density. And we have spent the last 50 years growing out. We took large land tracts and put houses on them, but we no longer have that. So San Diego, instead of growing out, needs to learn to grow up. And that's what we're doing in downtown San Diego. Density is our friend. Density makes neighborhoods. Downtown is an example of how that density creates communities that are active, livable, accessible, walkable, and are 24/7. And without a doubt, that density has improved our quality of life in downtown. And so we applaud the mayor, as well as Councilmember Ward and Councilmember Sherman, for taking this step, because it is so important. And this coalition, I really, really appreciate everyone who has participated in this effort, because it will make San Diego over the next 50 years an even better region than it already is. Thank you.
All right, to bring us home today is Rick Gentry, CEO of the San Diego Housing Commission, who's a key partner in making sure that all of this becomes a success. Rick?
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer. The advantage of going last is I only have to say two things. That is, I agree and amen. Although you know it's not going to be that short. There's an old Southern political saying that everything may have been said, but not everybody said it. Next to the mayor, I'll be the last one saying it today. We need more supply. We need more production. We need more physical units of housing. We've got to have it to meet the needs of this community. I'm very pleased that the San Diego Housing Commission is a part of this coalition. Very pleased to be working with this august group going forward. And I'll point out that this effort reflects a lot of conversation going back. The Housing Commission about 18 months ago produced a cost study on producing affordable housing, which is on our website if you'd like to take a look at it. And we were very pleased that some of the comments that went into that study have been reflected in what the city's done in terms of process reform to make housing production more affordable and to get more of it. I'll also point out that that study that we produced did not come out of the blue. It represented a lot of prior conversation among stakeholders on all sides of the spectrum, including the Building Industry Association you just heard from, and also the Housing Federation that you just heard from. So I think this is a community issue. It's a community problem. There are community efforts going on, and we will have community solutions. And Mayor, thank you very much for having the commission here today, and we look forward to the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you again to all of the members of the coalition, not only standing behind me, but here and folks that have been working on this for so long. Today is a great start. With that, we will be happy to answer any questions one-on-one. We could do it here, or we could do it in the shade, whatever you prefer. Thank you all. Thank you very much.